The rhythmic clatter of the train wheels echoed like a forgotten heartbeat as Elena stared out the grimy window, the world blurring into streaks of gray and green. She had boarded this old locomotive in a desperate bid to escape the emptiness of her life, carrying nothing but a backpack of regrets and a one-way ticket to nowhere. But then, an elderly woman with silver hair and eyes like faded photographs shuffled into the seat across from her, clutching a small envelope as if it held the secrets of the universe. And in that moment, Elena's world shattered when the woman wordlessly handed her a yellowed photo, revealing a baby that was unmistakably herself, cradled in arms she had never known. Elena's breath caught in her throat, her fingers trembling as she held the image up to the dim light filtering through the carriage. The baby in the photo had her same wide eyes, the same tiny dimple on the left cheek that she saw every morning in the mirror. "Who are you?" Elena whispered, her voice barely audible over the train's relentless hum, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and inexplicable longing. The old woman smiled faintly, her wrinkled hands folding neatly in her lap. "My name is Clara," she said, her voice soft yet steady, carrying the weight of decades unspoken. "And that baby, that's you, Elena. I've waited 30 years to find you." Elena felt the carriage spin around her, the strangers nearby, fading into irrelevance as memories she didn't know she had began to surface, flashes of warmth, a lullaby half remembered, the scent of lavender that always made her inexplicably sad. She had grown up in foster homes, bouncing from one indifferent family to another, always wondering why no one had come for her. Adoption papers had told her nothing. Her birth parents were ghosts, her origins a blank slate. But now, this grandmother Clara sat before her, unraveling the tapestry of her life with a single photograph. Clara leaned forward, her eyes glistening. "It started on a night much like this, rainy and unforgiving. Your mother, my daughter Lila, was just 19 when she had you. We were poor, scraping by in a small town where dreams went to die. Lila loved you fiercely, but she was scared of the world, scared of failing you. One day, she left you with me while she went to find work in the city. She never came back." The words hung in the air like smoke, and Elena's mind raced. "What happened to her?" she asked, her voice cracking, the photo now clutched so tightly it creased under her grip. Clara sighed, her gaze drifting to the passing landscape. "An accident. A car crash on a slick road. The police said it was instant, but that didn't ease the pain. I was devastated, Elena. You were all I had left of her. But I was old even then, barely able to care for myself, let alone a child. The social workers came, said you needed a stable home. I fought them, but in the end, they took you away. I promised myself I'd find you one day." Elena's chest tightened with emotion, a storm of anger and sorrow brewing inside her. Why now? Why on this train, of all places? She glanced around the carriage, noting the other passengers, a young couple whispering sweetly, an old man dozing with a newspaper on his lap, a child playing with a toy train that mirrored their own journey. Clara reached out, her hand hovering before gently touching Elena's knee. "Fate, perhaps, or desperation. I've been searching for years, hiring detectives, scouring records. Last week, I saw your face in a newspaper article about a local artist in the city you're heading to. The resemblance was uncanny. I bought a ticket and prayed I'd find you here." The train jolted over a switch, and Elena felt her resolve waver. This woman, this stranger who claimed to be family, stirred something deep within her, a yearning for connection she had long buried under layers of self-reliance. As the hours passed, Clara shared stories of Lila, her laughter that could light up a room, her dreams of becoming a painter, the way she sang to Elena as a baby. Each tale was a brushstroke on the canvas of Elena's fragmented past, filling in colors where only shadows had been. But doubt crept in like the evening fog rolling past the windows. What if this was a scam? Elena had heard stories of con artists preying on the lonely. Yet Clara's eyes held no deception, only a profound sadness that mirrored Elena's own. As night fell, the train stopped at a small station for a brief respite. Passengers disembarked to stretch their legs, and Elena stepped out into the cool air, the photo still in her hand. Clara followed slowly, her steps frail but determined. "I have more," Clara said, pulling another envelope from her bag. Inside were letters, yellowed pages filled with Lila's handwriting, addressed to a daughter she never got to raise. Elena's tears came unbidden as she read the first one. My sweet girl, one day you'll know how much I loved you. Forgive me for the choices I couldn't make. The words pierced her soul, unlocking a floodgate of emotions she had dammed up for years. Back on the train, as it chugged onward, Elena began to open up. She spoke of her foster families, the kind ones who tried but failed, the harsh ones who left scars. I always felt like something was missing, she admitted, her voice raw. Like I was waiting for someone to claim me. Clara nodded, her own tears falling. You were mine to claim, and I let you go. But now, we have a chance to rebuild. The conversation flowed like a river long obstructed, carrying them through the night. Elena learned of her heritage, a family of immigrants who had crossed oceans for a better life, only to face hardships that tore them apart. Clara described the old house where Lila grew up, with its creaky porch and garden full of wildflowers. It's still there, Clara said, waiting for you, if you want it. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Elena felt a shift within her, a tentative hope blooming amidst the ruins of her past. But just as she was about to ask more, a sudden announcement crackled over the speakers. The train would be delayed due to a mechanical issue. Passengers murmured in annoyance, but for Elena, it was a gift of time. In that pause, Clara introduced a small locket from around her neck. This was Lila's, she said, opening it to reveal a tiny photo of a young woman who looked strikingly like Elena. She wore it every day. Elena touched it reverently, feeling the warmth of generations in the cool metal. The delay stretched on, and they shared a meager meal from Clara's bag apples and cheese that tasted like home. Laughter crept in, tentative at first, then fuller, as Clara recounted funny anecdotes from Lila's childhood. But the journey wasn't without its shadows. Elena confessed her fears. What if I'm not who you think I am? What if this is all a mistake? Clara's response was firm, yet gentle. The heart knows, child, and mine has known you since the day you were born. As the train finally lurched forward again, Elena realized this encounter was more than coincidence. It was a bridge across the chasm of lost time. She began to envision a future where she wasn't alone, where family wasn't just a word but a living bond. Yet, as the miles ticked by, a subtle unease gnawed at her. Clara seemed tired, her stories repeating slightly, as if memory was fraying at the edges. Was age catching up, or was there something more? The train rattled on through the morning light, and Elena found herself studying Clara's face more closely, the lines etched by time, the subtle tremble in her hands. She wanted to believe every word, to embrace this newfound grandmother without reservation, but life had taught her caution. Tell me more about the day they took me, Elena urged, hoping for details that would solidify the truth. Clara's eyes clouded over, and she paused, as if summoning strength from deep within. It was raining that day, too. The social worker was a kind woman named Mrs. Hargrove. She promised you'd be placed with a loving family. I signed the papers with a heavy heart, but I kept copies of everything: birth certificate, photos, even a lock of your hair. From her bag, Clara produced a faded folder, handing it to Elena. Inside were documents that matched Clara's tale, a birth record listing Lila as mother, Clara as next of kin. Elena's pulse quickened. This was tangible proof, not just stories. Why didn't you fight harder? She asked, a hint of accusation in her tone. I was broken, Elena. Losing Lila shattered me, but I've regretted it every day since. Clara's voice broke, and Elena reached out, their hands clasping in a silent pact of understanding. As the conversation deepened, the train passed through a tunnel, plunging them into temporary darkness that mirrored Elena's inner turmoil. Emerging into light, she shared her own life in return. The art school she attended on scholarships, the paintings she created that captured unspoken loneliness. I paint faces I've never seen, she said. Now I wonder if they were yours and Mom's. Clara beamed with pride. Lila would have loved that. She always said creativity runs in our blood. But then came the twist. An unexpected passenger interrupted their reverie. A middle-aged man in a rumpled suit, who had been sitting a few rows back, approached hesitantly. Excuse me, he said, his voice laced with surprise. Clara? Clara Thompson? It's me, Robert, Lila's old friend from high school. Clara's face lit up in recognition. Robert, what are the odds? She introduced him to Elena. explaining he had been close to the family back in the day. Robert sat down, his presence adding a new layer to the unfolding drama. "I haven't seen you since the funeral," he said to Clara. "And this must be... Wait, is this Lila's daughter?" His eyes widened as he looked at Elena, seeing the resemblance. Elena felt a surge of validation from this stranger's confirmation, but Robert's story brought an emotional pivot. "I was there when Lila found out she was pregnant," he revealed. "She was scared, but excited. Clara, you were her rock. After the accident, I tried to help, but you shut everyone out." Clara nodded, tears welling. "I was ashamed, Robert. Ashamed I couldn't keep her child." Robert turned to Elena. "Your mother was the kindest soul. She volunteered at shelters, always helping others. If she were here, she'd be so proud." His words infused the narrative with fresh perspective, highlighting Lila's humanitarian spirit and Clara's quiet sacrifices. Elena saw her grandmother not just as a figure of loss, but as a woman who had endured immense pain for love's sake. The twist of Robert's appearance amplified the human values at play: forgiveness, community, and the unexpected ways lives intersect. As Robert shared photos from his phone, old snapshots of Lila laughing with friends, Elena's emotions swelled. Here was proof of a life she could have had, a network of connections severed by tragedy. "Why didn't you look for me?" she asked Robert. "I did in my way," he admitted. "But life moved on: marriage, kids. Seeing you now, it's like Lila's back." The three of them talked for hours, the train's motion a backdrop to their revelations. Robert's tales added humor and lightness, recounting Lila's pranks and dreams, balancing the heaviness of loss with joy. Elena laughed for the first time that day, a sound that felt foreign yet freeing. Yet, as the afternoon waned, Clara grew quieter, her energy fading. "I'm tired," she murmured, leaning back. Elena worried, but Robert reassured her. "She's stronger than she looks. Always has been." The delay earlier had bonded them further, and now, with Robert's input, Elena's view shifted. This wasn't just about reclaiming family. It was about honoring the past while forging ahead. Human kindness, she realized, could bridge even the widest gaps. As the train neared the next major stop, Elena pondered the photo again. The baby in it smiled innocently, unaware of the storms ahead. "What happens now?" she asked Clara. "We start over," Clara replied. "If you'll have me." Robert excused himself at the stop, exchanging numbers with promises to reconnect. His departure left Elena and Clara alone again, the air charged with possibility. But a new doubt emerged. Clara mentioned health issues, a heart condition that had prompted her urgent search. "Time is short," she confessed. "I needed to find you before it's too late." Elena's heart ached at the revelation, adding urgency to their bond. She vowed silently to cherish every moment, embracing the kinsmanship that fate had delivered. The landscape outside evolved from rural fields to urban sprawl, mirroring Elena's internal transformation. She began sketching in her notebook a portrait of Clara, capturing the wisdom in her eyes. As the train sliced through the encroaching city, Elena's sketch took shape, each line a tribute to the woman who had upended her world. Clara dozed lightly, her breathing steady, and Elena watched over her like a guardian, the roles reversing in this fragile new dynamic. But the emotional high from Robert's visit lingered, reminding her that family extended beyond blood into the realm of shared humanity and unexpected allies. Clara stirred, smiling at the drawing. "You have her talent," she said. Lila would sketch for hours, dreaming of galleries. Encouraged, Elena dove deeper into questions. "What was Grandpa like? You haven't mentioned him." Clara's expression softened with melancholy. "Your grandfather, Henry, passed when Lila was young. He was a train conductor, ironically loved the rails, the freedom they promised. This journey reminds me of him." The parallel struck Elena, her own escape on this train echoing her grandfather's life. It wove another thread of connection, emphasizing how patterns of longing repeated across generations. As evening approached, the carriage emptied somewhat, leaving them in relative solitude. Clara shared recipes from her youth, comfort foods like apple pie that Lila adored. "We can make it together," Clara suggested, her voice hopeful. Elena nodded, envisioning a kitchen filled with laughter, a stark contrast to her solitary meals. But then, another twist unfolded subtly. A young woman across the aisle, overhearing snippets, leaned in. Sorry to intrude, she said shyly. I'm Sarah, a social worker. Your story, it touches me. I deal with reunions like this often. Sarah's presence was serendipitous, offering professional insight that shifted Elena's perspective once more. Reconnections aren't always smooth, Sarah warned gently. But they're worth it. The human spirit craves belonging. She shared anonymized tales of lost children finding parents, elders reclaiming kin stories brimming with resilience and love. One particularly moved Elena, an old man reuniting with a son after decades, only to discover shared passions that healed old wounds. Clara engaged eagerly, her fatigue lifting. See, Elena? We're not alone in this. Sarah's input amplified the narrative's humanistic core, underscoring themes of empathy and societal support. It humanized the bureaucratic system that had once separated them, showing how individuals like Sarah bridged gaps with compassion. As night deepened, the train's lights flickered, casting warm glows. Elena confided in Sarah about her fears of abandonment recurring. What if I lose her again? Sarah smiled reassuringly. Build memories now. That's the gift. The conversation turned lighter, with Sarah sharing her own family anecdotes, fostering a sense of camaraderie. Clara even hummed an old tune, drawing smiles from nearby passengers. But tension resurfaced when Clara winced, clutching her chest. Just a flutter, she assured, but Elena's worry spiked. Sarah offered advice. Get her checked at the next stop. The incident heightened the drama, reminding Elena of time's fragility. She held Clara's hand, whispering, I won't let you go. Resuming their journey, Elena explored the folder more. Letters from Lila revealing her hopes for Elena's future education, love, happiness. Be strong, my girl, one read. The world is yours. Tears flowed as Elena absorbed her mother's voice, a posthumous embrace. It fueled her resolve to honor that legacy. Sarah departed at a midnight stop, leaving contact info. Call if you need help navigating records. Alone again, Elena and Clara delved into plans, visiting the old house, tracing relatives. We have cousins, Clara revealed. A whole family waiting. The prospect thrilled Elena, expanding her world from isolation to abundance. Yet, she grappled with forgiveness for the system, for Clara's past choices, for her own guarded heart. As dawn neared, the train approached their destination. Elena felt transformed, the photo now a talisman of hope rather than shock. But Clara's health loomed, adding poignant urgency. Promise me you'll live fully, Clara urged. I promise, Elena replied, their bond sealing in that vow. The city lights beckoned, symbolizing new beginnings. Elena envisioned art inspired by this saga, canvases of trains, photos, embracing figures. The train slowed into the bustling station, horns blaring like fanfares for their arrival. Elena helped Clara gather her things, her arms steady around the older woman's waist, a gesture of newfound protectiveness. As they stepped onto the platform, the cool city air enveloped them, carrying sense of street food and possibility, the end of one journey, the start of another. But reality intruded swiftly. Clara's steps faltered, and Elena flagged a taxi to the nearest hospital, her heart racing with fear. It's nothing, Clara insisted, but Elena wouldn't hear it. At the emergency room, doctors confirmed a minor arrhythmia, prescribing rest and medication. She's tough, the physician said, echoing Robert's words. Relieved, Elena sat by Clara's bedside, the sterile room a stark contrast to the train's intimacy. In that quiet, Clara reflected. This scare, it's a reminder. Life's too short for regrets. Elena agreed, sharing her decision. I'm staying with you. We'll go to the house together. Clara's eyes sparkled. It's yours now. All of it. Discharged the next day, they headed to the small town, a short bus ride away. The old house stood weathered but welcoming, vines climbing its walls like embracing arms. Inside, dust motes danced in sunlight, and Elena felt an instant kinship. Exploring rooms, she found Lila's childhood artifacts, drawings, diaries, a crib still in the attic. This was yours, Clara said, touching the wood reverently. Emotions surged as Elena read Lila's journal, centuries of joy at pregnancy, fears of inadequacy, unwavering love. I want her to have everything I didn't, Lila wrote. The discoveries deepened Elena's appreciation for her roots, highlighting the sacrifices women like Lila and Clara made. Human values shone through, resilience in adversity, love transcending death. But a final twist emerged, a letter tucked in a drawer from Henry to Clara. If anything happens, find our granddaughter. She's the light. It revealed Henry's foresight, adding layers to Clara's search. He knew, Clara whispered. Even then, this revelation pivoted Elena's view, seeing her grandfather as a quiet hero. It emphasized legacy's power, how actions ripple through time. Settling in, they cooked Lila's recipes, laughter filling the air. Neighbors visited, sharing memories, weaving Elena into the community fabric. Robert arrived days later, bringing photos and stories, solidifying bonds. Sarah called, offering resources for official reunification. Elena's art flourished, inspired by her heritage. She painted the train encounter, the photo central, capturing raw emotion. Challenges arose. Clara's health required care, testing Elena's commitment. But she rose to it, finding purpose in nurturing. Months passed, their relationship blooming. Elena forgave the past, embracing the present. You're my family, she told Clara. On a rainy evening, mirroring the fateful day, they sat on the porch. Thank you for finding me, Elena said. Clara smiled. You found me too. The story closed on hope, lives intertwined, proving connections' healing power. Yet, whispers of future adventures lingered, perhaps tracing distant relatives, or Elena's exhibitions sharing their tale. In this reunion, they discovered not just blood ties, but the profound humanity in second chances, forgiveness, and love's enduring light.